Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Liam Jenkins and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. Hopefully, the start of getting back to consistency. It was meant to be last week, and then what happened was, it was Easter, there was a 4-day weekend in England, then it was my birthday, then I got an eye infection, and I was completely run down and burnt out, and it just wasn't a pretty sight for anyone. Then the team signed Eric Wilson, and I couldn't get anything out on it because I literally looked like a lead balloon. So this week, I promise you, there will be Eric Wilson content, Anthony Harris content, wide receiver rankings from the draft, and maybe a little something special as well. There's going to be a lot, okay? So buckle up. We're back in this now. But unfortunately, it's got to start on a bit of a wobbly note. An article came out today from the guys over at The Athletic depicting the rise and fall of Howie Roseman and essentially summarizing what we kind of already knew, but just adding a lot more source to it. Well, quite literally, there was a lot of anonymous quotes from people connected to Roseman, be it employed, formerly employed, whatever it may be. And it's obviously scared a lot of people. But my main gripe with the whole thing isn't actually about that. And that's what I wanted to take some time to talk to you about, because the whole Howie Roseman power thing for me, we knew this. Like, if you are a diehard PSN fan, if you read what we put out, if you watch, if you listen, Chris Infante, our Eagles lead writer, put out an article like 4 months ago saying most of what that article said and was shot down by just about everyone. Purely because we don't have check marks. We're not the big guys. We shouldn't have the sources. You know, I'm in England, whatever it might be. And that wasn't right. And today we were just kind of almost reinforced that that initial article was correct and that those statements that we received from anonymous sources were absolutely bang on. So that stuff didn't shock me. What I think did settle in, because obviously there was way more context added with the Athletic piece, was that this isn't going to change so long as Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are buddy-buddy. And what I mean by that is it is very, very clear at this point that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are on the same page. Then there was Trey Burton that came out and said that the GM knew absolutely everything that went on. There's this element of micromanaging and almost kind of constraining everyone within the organization, from the head coach who was reportedly belittled, to the quarterback who was run out of the building, to the rest of the players. And I think that it's something that's not going to change. But what I think this has to do, like, it doesn't matter how many articles come out, it doesn't matter how many videos get made, Howie Roseman is going to be Howie Roseman until he's held accountable. And this for me is the thing, that like, we can't really make a ton of petitions. Fans can't make petitions and say, right, get him out. Jeffrey Lurie sold the team. This is pathetic. Like, it doesn't work like that. As a Charlton Athletic fan, getting owners out, very, very difficult. Doesn't happen overnight. Especially when they're profitable and successful. And we can be doomsdayers all we want, and we can say that everything is bad and ugly and horrible, which it is. But the Eagles did win a Super Bowl not too long ago. Also had back-to-back-to-back playoff runs. So it's not like this team is a total mess. Recently, total mess. But in terms of profitability for the franchise, it's hard to look at it from Jeffrey Lurie's perspective and be absolutely disgusted with what you've seen. And that might be part of the problem. But for a franchise that demands so much accountability from everyone else, from quarterback to head coach to whoever, the GM's got to be held in that same regard. And he's not. And I've made this argument a million times. I've depicted on this channel a million times about the Eagles' cap space problems and how Howie Roseman treats it like a big credit card. And he's just racking it up and then transferring it. And then racking that one up and then transferring it. And racking that, and it just never ends. Lane Johnson is on the books for a $21 million cap hit in 2028. He would be 38 years old. Because it's been racked up that much and Johnson continues to restructure to help the team, all of that money that is guaranteed, it's there, it's not moving, is being backlogged so far that realistically, will he be on the team at age 38? I don't know. He is not going to be being paid that money there and then. There is just so much work to be done with these bigger contracts, and it's scary because the way that Howie Roseman wants to get himself out of these situations is the same way he's got in them, by backloading. Look at the past few weeks. He's had to ask Darius Slay. He's had to go to his linemen. He's had to go to Rodney McLeod. He's had to get rid of Carson Wentz. Like, all of these moves to get under the cap, which he pushed them so far over by doing the exact same thing a couple of years ago. So that's not going to go away. And it's going to take someone like Jeffrey Lurie, it has to be Jeffrey Lurie, to say, you've got to do this different now. This isn't a Super Bowl. Like, you can't fault Roseman really, for believing in his methods, for getting a bit egotistical over a Super Bowl, after doing the unthinkable and going out from the cupboard and going out and assembling a roster of dreams and winning in the grandest underdog spectacle ever. Like, you can't fault him for being a bit gassed up and thinking, I'm the hot shit. But he's just shit. And I think reality set in that you can't sustain that. He made a few risky moves to try and sustain that Super Bowl window to go, let's get us back to the big dance. Things ultimately didn't go his way. And when you get a year deeper into that, those rookies from the year before need to perform. They didn't. A year later, those rookies from the year before, they didn't because the drafting's been terrible. Then the free agency signings are bad. Then you end up cutting Zach Collins because he makes a dodgy comment about Kirk Cousins. Like, there are just so many weird and bizarre antics with this team where Roseman has mismanaged it. And you can say, was it poor drafting? Was it poor development from the coaching staff or whatever? No matter where we look, there are problems. In the secondary, at the linebacker spot, to quarterback, to coaches. No matter where we looked at the end of last season, there were issues with this team. From top to bottom, left to right, it was absolutely tragic. Now, at the epicenter of all of that is Howie Roseman, and he's the one that drives the ship and builds the roster and works the cap and does the contracts and apparently selects who's up on game day and things like that. So, if you're just going to continually pull all the petals of the flower out and hope that they rebuild and just do it again and again and again, you're not going to get anywhere. Nothing's going to change because at the center of everything is what's the most toxic. And I don't think Jeffrey Lurie is ever really going to want to part ways with Howie Roseman. If I was Jeffrey Lurie and I was micromanaging the team to that level and I saw everything he was doing, I don't know how I wouldn't hold him accountable. Like, I don't see how that many bad contracts, that many restructures, that many backloaded deals, that many dodgy trades all get worked through to a point where you're like, yeah, he's cool, that's fine, mate, don't worry about it. Like, there's something that doesn't sit quite right with me about it. So the way I think we have to hold him accountable now is moving forward. Is Howie Roseman going to treat this like a Super Bowl window? Is he still prolonging it in his head? And we don't know that. Like, the only thing that goes against it is the recent trade and picking up another first round pick next year. So now you could potentially have 3 first rounders in 2022. Surely you can't balls them all up, okay? But again, don't want to jinx it. But I do feel like that with 3 first rounders next year, it almost feels like an expedited rebuild. We'll get 3 players, we'll snap them here, there'll be impact guys from day one, and we'll be competing again. And I don't know if I trust Howie to develop a talent over 5 years, because the only 2 we've seen, one of them was Carson Wentz, no longer with us. The other one, Derek Barnett. I mean, what have we seen outside of that in terms of first round, second round talent from Philadelphia? Miles Sanders barely used last year. Didn't look great outside of a few breakaway runs. Dallas Goedert hasn't proven he can stay healthy. Andre Dillard, massive question marks now. We don't know. So what is Howie Roseman going to do with these picks next year? There has to be a new method of holding him accountable. If I don't want a player earning over this much at this position, I do not want $70 million in the defensive line. I do not want to see all of our cornerbacks being paid a combined $800,000 or something stupid like we saw in years past. This has to be a fundamental change. Now, the Eagles, I think, have got a really good coach in Nick Sirianni. Now, is he going to be eaten alive by the GM and the owner in time? Are they going to mold him into this puppet, which is what I think fans are beginning to imagine? I don't know. That's not for me to say. But what I think Jeffrey Lurie has to evaluate is that he has changed everything possible to do with this franchise. Cornerstones, quarterback, coaches, everything gone. One off season. If this team, within the next 2 years, scuffs another draft, has another bad contract, makes the exact same mistakes they've done for the past 3, then Howie Roseman has to be out on his ass. If Howie can prove he can adapt and make those important signings, like Eric Wilson, you can't fault it. Anthony Harris, you can't fault it in premise. But if, over the next 2 years, Howie Roseman continues to push this franchise further back by doing the same thing that once propelled it forward that no longer worked. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, and Howie Roseman may well be losing his marbles. It is time to demand some accountability for Howie Roseman to get him onto a level where he's treated the same as a coach, as a member of staff, and not as a best friend strolling around daisy fields together. And I just wanted to put that out there. I want to know what you guys think of this. Let me know down in the comment section below. Really just wanted to take a few minutes to chat. I know it's been a little while. The website has been super busy. If you're not already going to phillysportsnetwork.com every day to get your news, I don't know what you're doing. You know, we're like top of Google now. We're on like front listings. We're getting a redesign that's coming to the website in around 6 weeks, I think. So we have a new theme. There's a lot of cool stuff I'm working on in the background, which is why I haven't been able to jump onto YouTube as much. So thank you for being so patient. I promise you this week we're going to have like 3 or 4 videos coming. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you like it. I'll talk to you soon.